Oh, I'm talking beer and construction on Irving Park Road. Next on Beer in Front. Welcome to Beer in Front, where every week I'm going to talk about a beer that maybe we've forgotten along the way while we accumulate our check-ins and badges. Sometimes I'll feature a new beer that has potential to be a classic. Being the Chicago beer guy, I'll also talk about great craft beer from the city of Chicago. That's Beer in Front, and it's coming up now. Welcome to episode 104 of Beer in Front. How is everyone doing this week? Over the weekend, I talked to Jamie and to Heath over at the wonderful E14 podcast. That episode dropped this week. I'll include links in the show notes. By all means, check them out. And don't just listen to my episode. Listen to all of them. I love the E14 show. It's one of those where every week I learn something new that I didn't know before, and I'm entertained. So that is the highest praise I could give a show. So please check out the E14 podcast. Next week's show is going to be good. I talked to Derek, and we talked about Polish beer. So next week's show, I'm going to have a Polish beer. But enough about that. Let's talk about this episode. This was a good one. I sat down with Brent. He's the owner of Burning Bush Brewery. They're about to celebrate their second anniversary this weekend. So please check out that interview and head over to Burning Bush this weekend. And finally, I have a promotion that I'm running on this show for Hydronique Hydration. There'll be an ad a little bit later in the program, but there is a contest, another contest. I'm going to give away 6 packets of this Hydronique hydration product. I'm going to give it to 5 of my listeners. So what I want you to do, if you're interested, send me an email over at dave@beerinfront.com. And at the end of the week before next week's show, I'm going to draw names and send you out some packets. It's a good product. I use it. So pay attention to the ad and please enter the contest so you can get some free stuff. With the weather warming up, you know it's time for beer festivals. You need to stay hydrated. We've all been there. You go to a beer festival, you have 2 hours to knock off all these beers. You wake up the next morning feeling horrible. You need to stay hydrated. This week's show is sponsored by Hydronique. It was started in the midst of the pandemic. The founder of Hydronique Hydration, a frontline healthcare worker, started developing constant headaches. A landmark research study published early during the pandemic showed that up to 81% of frontline healthcare workers developed new headaches, mainly because of their PPE, like face masks and shields, which prevented them from eating and drinking properly while on the job. He would leave work tired, dehydrated, and burnt out. The founder looked for a healthy drink with all the necessary vitamins and minerals, but with no sugar. Something that was keto-friendly and healthy, but most powdered drinks on the market have a ton of sugar and caffeine. That's why he created Hydronique Hydration. It's sugar-free, keto-friendly, plant-based, antioxidant-rich, electrolyte powder packets for daily use containing all the essential vitamins and minerals with a refreshing taste. Their product contains elderberry, which has immune-boosting properties for support during the cold and flu season. Hydronique Hydration electrolyte powder packets also fit in your bag or suitcase when traveling. Yeah, remember that? Remember traveling? So if you're having trouble with eating and drinking healthy during your busy day in 2022, but want a sugar-free, keto-friendly vitamin drink, give Hydronique Hydration a try. There are 30 electrolyte powder packets in a pouch, which is perfect for a 1-month supply. You can visit the website at www.hydroniquehydration.com. That's HYDRONIQUE hydration.com. It's the word hydration and unique mashed together. That's www.hydronique hydration.com, or search for Hydronique Hydration on Amazon.com, where they are offering a discount coupon at checkout for the next week. Also, I will include the link in the show notes, so you could just click on the link and go right to the Amazon page and order for yourself. I also am running a contest this week where I will give 5 lucky listeners 6 packets of Hydronique so you could try for yourself. Send me an email at dave@beerinfront.com with the word hydrate in the subject line. I will pick 5 listeners by the end of the week, and I will get these out to you so you could try it for yourself. I like the product. I use the product. It has a great taste and a price point when you purchase it, which is better than some of the other similar products on the market. Hydronique Hydration is great stuff. Check it out. But also, if you want to win some, email me at dave@beerinfront.com with the subject hydrate, and I'll send out 6 packets to 5 listeners. In beer news this week, Revolution purchased the Kedzie Avenue building that housed the brewery, and so it's all there. So they did a ceremonial lease burning, and they own the building. So congratulations to Revolution. St. Paul, Minnesota Brewery Summit, they're one of the OGs in craft beer. They're teaming up with the Minnesota Twins, and they are going to have a Minnesota Twins Pilsner, so look for that in the Twin Cities area. Speaking of the Twin Cities, Surly, based out of Minneapolis, they're looking to open a second brewery and tap room, and they're leaning towards either Michigan or Ohio for their second location. Illuminated Brewworks out of Chicago, they're putting out a new stout that is cookies and cream flavored. It's called the Nookie Conster Mosh. And I don't know. I hope the beer is good, but obviously it's a takeoff on Cookie Monster. The artwork is a blue monster that to me, looks more like Elf than it does the Cookie Monster. But yeah, I just don't understand artwork and stuff like this. I mean, granted, there's so many breweries, so many beers that are out there. It's hard to be original, but this just screams like a ripoff of Sesame Street or Elf or something like that. So I don't get it. Hopefully the beer is good, but look for Nookie Conster Mosh in the Chicago area. All right, welcome back to the show. I am happy to talk to Brent Raska. He's the owner of Burning Bush Brewery. They're located at 4014 North Rockwell, which is right on the corner, if you live in Chicago, of Irving Park and Rockwell. They're open 7 days a week, and they're about to celebrate their 2nd anniversary. Brent, thanks so much for coming on, sir.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Happy to be here.
Reading your story, it's one of the most interesting stories in craft beer. Can you tell people a little bit about yourself, the brewery?
Sure, yeah, no problem. So I'm from Spokane, Washington, from the West Coast. Went to Washington State University, and my wife and I both went to Princeton Seminary in New Jersey, and so we were both Presbyterian pastors. After we finished grad school with a master's in divinity, I also have a master's in theology, we worked for a church in New York City from 2009, 2011, Medicine Avenue Presbyterian Church,
Okay.
and we shared the position together, and it was a really cool opportunity. We lived on the Upper East Side of Manhattan on 73rd and Madison, and church owned a 10-story building, so a 10th floor apartment, right 2 blocks from Central Park.
Oh, wow.
Which we never ever afford to live, but it was a part of our housing. And but we spent 2 years at that church, but a year was spent teaching in Zambia, which was a really cool opportunity with a partner organization there. And then we got to travel for 3 months through 8 different countries in Africa as well. And then when we came back, we were at that church in New York for a few months, and we were looking for different positions, and we ended up in Wilmette for my wife's position. This is in 2011. She was an associate pastor at First Presbyterian Church in Wilmette. And then I did some interim stuff for a year, and then I landed a solo pastor position in North of Riverside, Christ Presbyterian Church, Riverside Brookfield, right by the Brookfield Zoo. And so I was a solo pastor there from like 2013 through the end of 2018, a little over 5 years. It was a great experience. I started homebrewing during that time and really loved it and thought I'd want to do something more. And so, unfortunately, at the end of 2017, the church, like a lot of small churches these days, went on decline and ended up closing. And so at that point, I'd already working on a business plan, already thinking about opening a brewery, and I decided to dive in. It's basically January of 2018. In those 2 years, my wife, who's a true saint in all of this story, she's amazing. But at January of 2018, started to dive in. Of course, now I don't have a job. I'm just spending money. And we have a 2-year-old, and my wife's 8 months pregnant, and she, not only the income, but just the support and taking the risk to dive in, never running a business before, let alone a brewery. And so, but I was able to help out, especially at first, more with the kids and stay home and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then, but as things got going, found this location and, raising funds and getting a loan, getting building permits, all the construction, getting a liquor license to Chicago. It takes 2 years. And then we finally opened in 2 years later, January 30th of 2020. And then our grand opening was March 6th, 2020. And a week later, the pandemic hit. So it's been quite the journey. But I think one of the questions you're getting at is what led me to go from a pastor to a brewery owner. I get that question all the time. To me, it's more of a natural fit than a lot of people would think. It combines a lot of my passions. Of course, I was a home brewer, but the fellowship and community you have over a beer, sitting at the bar with the community room in the back, which is about 25, 30 folks. It's a free space, which we want to offer free for the community, and that gets used a lot. Last 2 nights, churches had small groups back there. We had a lot. My buddy's 40th birthday party was last weekend, so it's for anybody, a lot of birthday parties, a lot of stuff like that. And so part of our proceeds go back to local nonprofits, and we're working on doing more of that. With opening, and we did in the pandemic, I joke it's hard to give away proceeds unless you have proceeds.
Yeah.
So, but we've been able to do some cool things. We're able to keep doing more of that as things go on. And so, so that's a local neighborhood brew pub that gives back and is part of the community. And so that's what we're all about.
Yeah, I can't imagine this was part of your business plan. Right before the pandemic, Irving Park always seems to be under construction, especially like the bridge here.
Yeah, the bridge
Luckily,
is forever.
It's open.
Yeah.
It's finally open, so folks, you could come out this weekend for the 2nd anniversary, and the bridge is open. One of the things I really enjoy about this place is it's a family-owned place. Every time that I come in, there's always seems to be a lot of families here, and it's a neighborhood brewery. It's nothing against bearded guys because I am one, but there's not all these beer guys sitting in here, where it's a place that you could bring your family, you could sit outside when that's open, bring your dog. That's one of the things I really like about this. It's nice. It's a family brewery for everyone. And like you said, with the back room for the community, that's really cool. I was here in the summertime with Representative Ann Williams and Senator Feigenholz. We were here. So it's always cool that, you and the brewery are giving back to the community.
Yeah, and we wanted to be, I have a 6-year-old and 4-year-old, and we're right next to a daycare. And so having that family-friendly, we're all about having dog-friendly as well. As you know, living in the neighborhood, it is dog central, like right down the street with Found and Heel and Stay. And all those guys are great. Not only people like, I just dropped off my dog and stop by, or a lot of the employees like Fabian, who owns Found, he's in all the time, and a lot of other folks. So it's been a great that way. That's one of the positives of not having a full kitchen is that we can't have dogs inside, because we had a full kitchen and we couldn't. But we do have snacks and people ordering food trucks on occasion and stuff like that. And we're working on, continuing to spruce up the patio and make it more permanent and get nicer tables and continue to make it more long-term and make it even nicer and taking more advantage of the river. So look for that later this summer. Yeah. That's been a great space. And that was huge, especially during COVID, to have that outdoor space was a lifesaver. So.
Yeah, I remember I did a quick little segment out back. Was it 2 years ago? I mean, everything the last couple of years is kind of a blur.
Right.
Yeah, it's just weird. I am sitting there having a beer, and all these kids are out right behind at the daycare center. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll hide my beer. Yeah. I've noticed, like, looking on the website, you have currently 12 different beers on tap?
Correct. Yep. Yeah. And people ask all the time, what's our styles? I'd say a little something for everybody. We do have a wide range from, pilsners and lagers to sours to, of course, IPAs. Some people say we're known for our sours and IPAs, and that might be true. We have more, IPAs than anything else. But we also have stouts and porters. Currently, we have a peanut butter porter. We have a oatmeal stout. So yeah, just try to have a full wide range. And usually, people are happy that in a group that people can find something they like. And we also have wine on tap and ciders as well. So, and that's a lot of inspiration for my wife, who's not a beer drinker. And so sometimes before we started here, she'd be like, I don't want to go to the brewery or whatever brewery it was, because they always serve beer. So I'm like, well, let's have other options like the wine on tap. And having it on tap is nice too, because we don't sell a ton of wine. And so, but the keg will last 3 or 4 months. Yeah. Bottle, you open and serve one glass. I'd probably be bringing it back a lot to my wife, but we'd be wasting a lot. Of course, all the waste, it's the garbage as well. So that's worked out well, especially now as things are opening up and we have more parties and more groups. And that tends to bring a wider crowd of people. And so having the wine and stuff.
Do you have any seltzers that you do?
I'd like to make one. I know a lot of breweries make their own seltzers. And it's just this time, I don't have the bandwidth to undertake that. But hopefully at some point it'd be fun to make our own. But we'll probably start serving a different one. So
yeah, at least for people
just have another option.
Free
right,
things like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
What would you say is your flagship, your best selling beer?
Lion's Den Hazy IPA, by far our biggest seller. But it's funny though, actually, our Pilsner, when we have it sells even more, but because it's cheaper, because it's Pilsner. Yeah. It's more quantity, but it's less sales. But they're two of the more popular, especially having a Pilsner is for people that aren't. A lot of people say, well, I'm not a craft beer person. What's the closest to Coors Light or something? Yeah. Especially in the summer, like a light beer. But yeah, Lion's Den, our hazy IPA has been our biggest. And then, our sours have been popular. We have Blueberry Lavender Sour, Sour Babble, Red Sea, our Raspberry Kettle Sour. True Wrestler, our Spruce Tip IPA, has been fun. More popular than I ever thought it would be. I think because it's different, because it's actually has spruce tips in it, so it's not your typical IPA. So
is that more of a year-round beer, or do you only put that out during the winter?
We have it pretty much year-round.
Okay.
Yeah, there may be times a month here and there might be out, but it's mostly it is kind of fits in the winter, but it's been turned into year-round.
Now, I was here for your soft opening. And then the grand opening that you had, and I still have my pint glass from the grand opening. The one beer that I really liked, and I didn't see it, the St. Basil, I believe it was called.
Yeah.
Are you going to come back with that again? Because I really like that beer.
Yeah, that is a fun one as well. And I used to brew it more often, but I probably now just going to brew it once a year.
Okay.
In the late summer or fall. And I've brewed it 4 times. Twice I grew the basil. Twice I didn't. And actually, I think it turns out better when I grow it. Even though, ironically, though, when I grow it, it takes a lot more time, obviously. It's more expensive growing it. But I do like the taste better. So, we'll probably be back later this summer or fall.
Okay, cool. Your second anniversary is coming up this weekend, which is March 25th and 26th. Can you tell people about that, where they could go to sign up ahead of time to get tickets, things of that nature?
Yeah, you bet. So it's $20 a ticket. We have 4 sessions on Friday night at 7:30, and we'll have a band, and it'll mostly be inside because of being at night and still in March.
Yeah.
And we'll have a food truck that evening as well. And your ticket includes a beer, a new special pint glass, Burning Bush bottle opener, coaster, and maybe something else. So a swag bag, and then also guaranteed seats as well. And then a 20% off of all merchandise as well. And then on Saturday, the sessions are 12 to 2, 2:30 to 4:30, and 5 to 7.
All right.
And then we'll have a DJ at the 12 and the 5 session, the band at the 2:30 session. And if you're here, let's say at the 12 o'clock session, it ends at 2, well, you're welcome to move. Inside will be open seating, so you're welcome to stay. Move inside, or we'll have some extra chairs outside as well. So for people who can stay around, we'll clear out the main patio. Hopefully the weather holds up. Main festivities on Saturday will all be outside.
Yeah, if it's like today, you'll be in good shape.
Yeah, for sure. Well, then last year we rented tents and stuff, and so we were prepared, but hoping to avoid the cost of renting a tent.
Yeah.
But if we need to, we will.
Yeah, you have to. You're going to have food trucks for the...
Yes, we're planning on it. Yeah, we're hoping to have one on Friday night and one, basically the main festivities on Saturday are 12 to 8. So we have one from 12 to 4 and one from 4 to 8. That's what we're working on. So...
You normally have food trucks on weekends here, don't you? I know when I'm driving by or I see your posts on social media, there's normally food trucks on the weekends here?
Yeah, not every weekend. We try to post about it on social media, and we have a newsletter as well. But so we do have them on occasion. We have one on St. Patrick's Day, the Thursday, March 17th, was last week.
Yeah.
So just check social media and website and stuff like that, or people call, hey, you got a food truck tonight. And also about the anniversary, you can get the tickets online at burningbushbrewery.com. So you learn more info and buy the tickets there. And then also, I want to highlight the 2 special release beers that we're going to have that weekend. So our first collaboration beer ever, we did with Dry Hop Brewery, not too far away. And, with collaborations, like, think outside the box, let's do something different. So we put our heads together and we thought, an Italian-style Pilsner, that sounds fun. And that's not crazy. That's like a Peroni, which is a good beer. But like, what if we did an Italian soda themed Pilsner? I've never heard of that. Yeah. And so we did the same base grains. We brewed a version there. We brewed a version here. We helped out, both brews. And so we did a blood orange version of Pilsner, and they did a cherry lime version. We're going to swap kegs. So we should have both of those beers on tap for the anniversary weekend. And then also a special rare beer that we have. We only have 2 sixtels of the small kegs. It's a Brett beer, which we've never done before. We took our Saison that we made last spring, and we added Brett yeast to it and let it age for about almost a year now, like 10 months. And we just tried it the other day. It's really good, but it's very different, unique. It's like, the secondary yeast. And so we'll be selling that, there's only 2 sixtels, so that'll go fast. And so that'll be a fun one. So we're looking forward to those new beers.
So come Friday. Yeah. Get that Friday in case it's sold out.
That's right.
Yeah, so I'll have to come Friday. I work Friday until about 3 in the afternoon, so I'll be good to come Friday so I could try that. Is there a beer that is your favorite to brew? Like one that gets the juices flowing, like, oh, yeah, I can't wait to do this one again?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, the ones that are unique are always fun, like Sweet Demon is our maple bacon beer, which some people love it, some people don't. It's, it's strong flavors. It's on the sweeter side. I'm happy how it turned out. I'm excited to brew it again another time because I know what I would do differently. And for example, next week I'm brewing a chocolate sea salt caramel stout.
Oh, wow.
And for the first time, it's brand new. And those are like the fun. It's just like, how much sea salt, you do some research, like how much sea salt do I add? I have a good idea how to do the chocolate caramel, but the kind of those outside the box ones, and that'll be fun. And so, and things like with the basil beer and the spruce tip beer, I always try. I can't say I always accomplish it, but I always try to like a balance, right? Like when you use an ingredient like basil or spruce tip, so you want it there so people taste it, but you don't want to be drinking a tree or just drinking basil. So always trying, and that's challenging, but it's the fun part of striking that balance,
because I've had some spruce beers that, I mean, just for my palate was like way over the top. It's like, it's just drinking pine salt.
You're right.
Yeah, you need that good balance. So no,
and it's which is tricky too, because like if you're gonna say you're like in there, because I've also had some beers that are the opposite, like, and you don't taste it at all.
Yeah.
So you want it, if you're gonna say it's in there, you want to taste it, but so it's
Now I have some listeners outside of the Chicago area. You do can. I noticed that you had 6 different of your beers in cans. Is there a way for people outside of Chicago to purchase your stuff?
Yes. We do ship through bev.com, but the link is on the website. So if you go to burningbushbrewery.com and it's like order online, and then there's a link to for shipping. And so we ship to 13 states. So not every state, but 13 of them. I can't name all 13 off the top of my head, but yeah. So there's a way to do that online, and check it out.
Yeah, cool. I know a lot of my friends, we swap things out. So if any of my friends are interested, you know how to get a hold of me, and I could run over and grab some, and we could swap local brewery stuff. So that won't be an issue. So if you're a friend of mine and we do beer exchanges, you know how to get a hold of me. Well, Brent, I thank you so much. Let me be one of the first to say happy anniversary. Burning Bush Brewery, once again, they're located at 4014 North Rockwell in Chicago. It's the corner of Irving Park Road in Rockwell. They're open 7 days a week. You could check them out at burningbushbrewery.com. Brent, thank you again, sir. I really appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Once again, I want to thank Brent Raska over at Burning Bush Brewery. That was a fun interview. Please be sure to check them out this weekend for their second anniversary extravaganza. You can get tickets at burningbushbrewery.com. The beer in front this week is from Burning Bush. This is a double India Pale Ale called Double Promised Land. This has Citra, Centennial, Amarillo, and Mosaic hops, and it also has, get this, honey and blood orange puree. So let's crack this open and try it. Double Promised Land pours a beautiful color. It's almost like looking at a Vienna lager. It's that wonderful brownish color, excellent color here. Good carbonation on the pour. Yeah, wow. I get from the aroma right off the bat the blood orange. That's the first thing that hits me right up front with the aroma. Yeah, that's really good. Brent, you did a good job on this one. Yeah, wow. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. The first thing right off the bat as the first sip that hit me was the blood orange, like in the aroma. Then I get a little bit of malt in there and the hops. There's a good bitterness to this, so it's not like your typical double dry hopped, you're hazy. There is some bitterness at the end, which I like. This is a really good beer. As I'm letting this warm up a little bit, as I'm having more of it, yes, I get more of the blood orange, but more of the malt and hops are coming through as this warms up. You get a lot of citrus here, a little tropical, not as much. For me, it's more citrus, especially with the blood orange. You get the malt, and then you get the sweetness from the honey. This is a well-balanced beer, has a nice finish to it. Like I mentioned earlier, you get that bitterness at the back end, which I like. This is a really good beer. Please head over to Burning Bush. Check them out. This one is called Double Promised Land. It's a double IPA and well worth your time. Check it out. All right, that's going to wrap things up for this episode of Beer in Front. I thank you so much for listening. Thanks to Brent, and happy anniversary. Please head over there this weekend if you're in the Chicago area and check out Burning Bush Brewery. Also, if you want to enter the contest to win some packets of Hydronique Hydration, please send me an email to dave@beerinfront.com, and I'll draw the winner before next week's show. All right, everyone, have a good week, and I will talk to you next week on Beer in Front.